Yes. So see, my type of teaching or discussion is very different type of thing. I go deep down, I dig into it, I go into the basics. Otherwise, I think that it's not possible to understand if I just read the chapter and I'll give you notes and you will copy that and you learn it by heart. You'll go and you score 75 marks, 80 marks, 90 marks. Is that the end of it? You don't know anything. You only know the question answers. You don't know anything about the history of it. But when you want to study history, suppose you choose history as a subject in your graduation or something, arts, you want to go for history, you have to dig into it. I was very good at it at certain point of time. Certain point of time when I was into that honor. Now I have to again dig into it and to see what was there. I can't remember everything. Everything is not possible. But basics I know what actually happened. What happened I know. Sometimes I forget dates. I'm not God, I'm not a machine, I'm not a robot. Even robot can crash down. I'm just a simple human being with flesh and blood. My brain is working with lot of different things. I have got lot of thinking in my mind. I'm not. So you guys are only into studies now. This is your time to learn. So dig into things. Don't just go for. I don't want to hear any one from you, at least from Hartford guys. Question, answer, and notes. That does not make you a good student. It will make you a good question answer player, but not a good student. Okay, so keep it that way. So I take time in explaining. I take from one point to other, then I join another point to it, and I come back to the basic again, so that you will get logic out of it. We have to see things from various point of views, various angles to come to a solution or come to a point of solution or finalization of that. We understand to logic. Yes, it is right. This is right. This is right. This is makes sense. I'll just not read through and make you say that okay, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Gone done. Okay, history. Bye bye. Tata. Go do your job. So it might take time. You might get bored, but I can't help it. That's the way how I share my information. So it's like that way. And that's the way it is done. Lot of disturbance here, lot of irritation goes on when this video goes on. You will hear so many sounds, the bikes going, and you will hear. I get irritated sometimes. To be true, it's very irritating, sometimes. Okay, so colonialism you came to know. It's an economic seeking to extend or retain its authority over other people or other territories. Okay, you want to gain ownership on other people, other country, other area. That is colonialism, and you go and start to increase your living there, and you create colonies and you start putting in your ideas and all. This is what happens in colonialism. So again, back to your book. The Congress under Mahatma Gandhi tried to forge these groups together with one movement, but the unity did not emerge without conflict. The growth of nationalism in India up to the first decade of the 20th century, we will pick up the story from 1920s and study the non-corporation, civil disobedience. We will explore how the Congress sought to develop the nation's national movement, how different social groups participated in the movement with different ideas, but point of war was one, and that is how nationalism captured the imagination of people, how it captured the imagination of people. Now, during this national movements, people used to go around a lot, processions used to happen, conflicts used to happen. So, this is how it took place. So, we'll go into details. The First World War, Khilafat and the non-cooperation. 1920s, 1919, 1920s, we'll find this. Now I'll read. First World War we'll have Khilafat. I'll separately explain First World War. It will go into long details. Khilafat and non-corporation. Then we have Satyagraha of Mahatma Gandhi. We have the Rolak Act. I was just now talking about the Rolak Act. So we'll come to that and we'll take it through. In the years after 1919, we see the national movement spreading to new areas, incorporating new social groups, developing modes of struggle. How do we understand these developments? What implications did they have? What was the result of these? What logic or how the people took it? It's all about for the people, by the people and to the people, right? So, first of all, the war created a new economic and political situation, the World War. Again, India had to be there with the British. They asked their help, and the British people thought that they are going to help us in our, if we do this, they are going to give us a lot of relaxation. But it never happened. It led to a huge increase in defense expenditure, which was financed by war loans and increase in taxes. Custom duties were raised and income tax introduced. Through the war years, prices increased, doubling between 1913 to 1918, leading to extreme hardship for the common people. Villages were called upon to supply soldiers, and the forced recruitment in rural areas caused widespread anger, which is called Bali Ka Bakra. The British has also made their national food chicken tandoori. Do you know that? The Brexit people, the British, now it's Brexit. They have made their national a food called chicken tandoori, which is from our country. Actually, chicken tandoori is not our food. It's a Mughal dish. It's from the tandoors, from the Mughal Arab dish, of roasting meat, which was actually specialized in India. So they have named it from India only. Anyways, so see, war is a source of expenditure and demolition and loss for both sides, whoever is fighting. Forget about who's going to win or lose. War, battle, fight, whatever, there will be effect on both sides. We are not talking about winning or losing. If I slap you, you will slap me back. If I kick you, if I hit you, you will kick me. This is hit. I was saying kick you. Colonialism is going on in my head. So there will be a retaliation, there's going to be a fight. You will hit me, I'll hit you. By seeing you, my friend will come. By seeing you, your friends will come. There will be a huge group. Bam, boom, boom, bash. You are in one nursing home, I am in one nursing home, friends are in one hospital, there. Our hand broken, leg broken, all with bandages. Expenditure. Effect, loss of energy, loss of physical everything, irrespective of the fact who is winning or losing. Okay. So we are going to keep it till here. So, and this, I'll just tell you this forced recruitment. People were just taken forcefully, they were pulled out from their houses. Young boys, children were just picked up. 10, 11, 12 years old people were just to put support. People should think, you know how political parties make these election rallies? They pay people, the poor people or the excess intercore areas of the remote areas, they pick up people on trucks, buses and bring them for these rallies to show that I have got so much of supporters. So when you are on a war zone, I was in the military, we know if you have too many people standing with guns, then oh my God, so many people. Irrespective of the fact you can shoot or not. There are so many people. You will always think like that. So during this time, wars prices also increased. During the war, there was a finance problem. Louis XVI, you saw what happened. During his time also, during the French time also. If there is no money, you have got lot of problems. So the poor people are always being put into problem. The taxes went up high. Custom duties went up high. Business income tax was introduced. Whatever you income, you have to pay a tax for it. That it was less, then it was less, now it is too much. But all for that time income also it was too much for them. Now during the war years, during this period of wars from 1913 to 1918, these 5 years or 6 years, prices were doubling on everything. Extreme hardship for common people. The common man was being surplused, where the huge vote bank is of the common people. Villages were called upon, supply soldiers, forced recruitment was going on, they were pulled into the colonial impact was there. Used to force people from rural areas, remote areas, to get into army. Families used to not want this. Anger spread out. In 1918 to 19 and 1920 to 21, crops failed in many parts of India, same as 16. French Revolution, crops also failed at that time. History is repeating itself. Acute shortage of food. Then an influenza happened, the swine flu or the Spanish flu. 1920s only it happened. This was accompanied by an influenza epidemic. According to the census, 1921 to 12 to 13 million people perished as a result of famines and epidemic. You go back to the movie, to the 1920s when this pandemic happened, the epidemic was there, this swine flu and Spanish flu. Spanish flu had come. On the Ganga Ghats, there were no wood to burn people. There were so many people dying during that time. Gandhiji was present also, he was infected, he had also become sick. Epidemics had come. So we'll keep it till there and we'll come back in the next class and I'll continue it from there. Okay. Lot of information to give which you must have not, which is not in the book, sometimes it's out of the book, to gather it up, to make logic to it. It's going to be very interesting. History is authentically, or we can say surprisingly very interesting. If you take it very interesting, it's a lot about the past which we don't know. We want to know how things happened. So there was food crop loss in the French Revolution also in France. It happened in India also. Everything will happen. Now also we are having a pandemic. Locust, it's coming. It was there also then. It's coming every time. We are having losses. Common people are suppressed, but we are still not understanding. Revolution is constantly happening every day. Okay, so see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Stay home, stay happy, keep smiling and don't worry at all. So you've got your syllabus, you don't have to worry anymore. Just follow that, whatever is going on. Rest will be taken care of. You just do your work. Everything will be done fine. Respect your parents, love them as much as you can and don't disrespect them. They are the only jewels of your life, the only diamonds, your mother and father of your life. So keep them always very close. Don't make them sad just because of you. Don't make them upset. Teach them some taekwondo. I always tell you, do some physical action and all that, physical exercises instead of your mobile and all. Okay, so see you then. Take care of yourselves, be good and do whatever you want after your studies, and pray to God to see you guys soon. Miss you a lot. Take care. Bye bye.